I'd just as soon be a beggar as a king. Like me, you probably find the words of that old song going through your head whenever you happen to find yourself in the vicinity of one of the former. I certainly found myself humming along to the voice in my head as it sang that anonymous lyric a few days ago. While walking in the High Street, I became aware of a begrimed and forlorn figure on the pavement, slumped against a wall, gazing up at passers-by and intoning at each a plaintive request for spare change. As I passed, I absently handed him what coins I had in my trouser pocket. He thanked me, addressing me as Sir, and urged me to take care of myself. It was then that I noticed in the air the warm, sharp odour of alcohol. This rendered me alert at once. As I slowed my steps, I examined the act of charity that I had just committed. Most urgently, I demanded of myself whether I had acted from the promptings of a lively conscience or from the kind of unthinking habit which draws a bless you from the onlooker to a sneeze. In a moment it was clear. Not conscience, but dull custom had guided my action. It occurred to me that that very amount which I had donated might well make up the larger amount that man would spend on the very bottle or can of foul intoxicant that would force up the vomit, that would clog his windpipe and dry on his blue-tinged lips as he died, a victim of the craving that my generosity had helped him to slake. My resolve hardened. My coins should not pay for his cup of hemlock. I whirled about and strode back to the wretched creature. I explained that I had given him the money unthinkingly, mistakenly, in error, and that what I had given I must now take back. He looked at me blankly, his mind no doubt benumbed by whatever he had managed to ingest that morning. I explained again more simply, illustrating my meaning with gesture and mime. But still he gave no sign of understanding, apart from a slight peevishness which overspread his features. I might yet have prevailed upon him, had not a lady of middling age and severe appearance marched over to us and, quite unnecessarily, intervened. She had seen and overheard, but alas, hopelessly misunderstood the incident. She accused me of giving money to the man and then changing my mind and trying to get it back. When at last I managed to interrupt her flow of hysterical accusation, I began a clear and concise summary of the facts of the case. I might have opened her eyes had not a young man of menacing aspect joined uninvited in the discussion. He alleged, in proletarian accents, that I was no better than a street robber, depriving the poor to add to my own already vast stores of wealth. By this time, quite a little crowd had formed about us, a crowd vocally hostile to my version of events. One of them shouted out that I had pissed myself, at which a roar of derision went up from the mob. I looked down, and indeed there was a liquid running down the front of my trousers, from which there arose a warm, sharp odour. And at once all was clear. A half-bottle of cheap whisky that I'd had in my trouser pocket had leaked, probably as I rummaged there for coins, thus releasing the alcoholic stench that had prompted me to question my thoughtless act of kindness. I took the leaking bottle from my pocket and held it up to the crowd, and teasingly I exclaimed, "Who is the beggar? And who the king?" But their incomprehension, I fear, was total. They stared at me, shaking their heads. In the silence I walked slowly away, leaving a trail of whisky that dribbled from my trousers. Rigorous moral self-examination does not always win the approval of the multitude, but at least one man kept his dignity intact that day. Goodbye.